All right, Mech Command, we need a heavy scout mech. Now, in the past previous vlogs that I've been pushing up to the Battletech playlist here, we've been exploring different classifications of mechs based on the role. This idea of saying, let's review an individual mech, and then is it a trooper mech? Is it a skirmisher? Is it an assault mech? Is it an anchor mech? And trying to put these classifications in place so we can begin to understand how to best use the battle value on the table. And this idea, whatever size game that you're going to play, and I say battle value because that's kind of the universal currency, but it could be C-bills, it could be tonnage. This idea that if I'm spending those points, they need to be earning every single turn. I mean, this is one of the challenges, just to sidebar for a moment. You spend the C-bills, you spend the battle value, tonnage points for an assault mech. You've got something that hits really heavy. But if it's not assaulting, if it's not doing something every single turn, you might as well be playing the game starting out with that much less battle value. So when I say a heavy recon mech, I don't want to go to the charger side because, I mean, I could, and I regularly play the charger for the lulls, because that battle value is perhaps more than I need, and the charger is a very unique mech. It's an assault mech in a recon type mode. But if I go with the traditional recon mechs, taking the Locust, Wasp, Stinger, they work. Absolutely. But the two things are, being light mechs, I have no backup plan, right? Generally speaking, a light mech, I'm going to have my weapons, I'm going to use them, but I need to keep speed and distance to keep me safe. I really don't have the armor to take any hits. With a dedicated recon machine, I'm going to be potentially putting myself in harm's way. Now, with a light mech, when you're in harm's way, yes, you might fire back with that LRM 5-pack. I regularly play a Thorn light mech. You might just zap away at extreme long range with movement and modifiers with your medium laser, but you're going to use that speed to get you out of there. But the question that I ask as a mech commander, am I giving up other opportunities because I can't safely and reliably commit to taking advantage of them? One of the things is, yes, we have a plan on the tabletop with the hex maps. We're going to do our best to stick to that plan despite the allure of tabletop glory. Playing the mission, it's called. But also I want to have a little bit of something that I can take advantage of if my opponent makes a mistake or doesn't see something or some sort of opportunity on the table. So you've got this duality going on of, yes, I'm playing the mission, but I'm also holding back a little bit in reserve. So if something happens, I can pivot. I can use that momentum. With a dedicated light recon mech, that's all I can do. But the trade-off is I'm spending minimal battle value, and I'm going to pump that battle value elsewhere. If I start looking at heavy, dedicated recon mechs, I'm going to be paying more battle value for it, because what we see now to get the speed, so for a dedicated heavy recon mech, I need speed. That's just hands down. We can debate jump capability or not, but I need massive, massive turbo speed. I need good armor, and I need a little bit of zappy, something a little bit more than just one medium laser and kind of a lesser secondary system like an SRM-2 or machine guns, which absolutely is fine for a light mech. So what we see with dedicated heavy recon mechs, we start moving into the medium mech classification. Because now we've got an interesting mix. Yes, I'm paying more battle value. There's no way around that, or C-bills or tonnage. But now I can maintain that speed with the correct fusion engine, but now we mount better armor and better weapons. If I move into the heavy and assault category, or like the charger in the assault category, one might say that's overkill or lulls or just absolutely extreme specialization. So within that, when I play a heavy dedicated recon mech, I go with the Cicada. Just happens to be another bug mech. It happens to be maybe an upgraded, in terms of tonnage, Locust. It's got the speed. It's got good armor for a medium mech. It's got 2 medium lasers, left and right, and it's got a small laser center. So I've got kind of 2 solid primary weapons. I'm not reliant on ammo. I've got okay range. I've got okay damage. I've got 2 zappy shots. I've got to watch heat a little bit. but this isn't something that I'm firing every single turn and standing in place. It's not like an anchor mech, say like a Warhammer or a Marauder. I'm going to be moving and I'm going to be zapping, so that means I'll fire one, then maybe two. One, maybe two. So this idea, push a little heat, clear the heat. Push the heat, clear the heat. Taking a dedicated heavy Recon mech now means I've got my Recon stuff, and let's sidebar for a second. What are we going to do with a Recon mech? Well, it could be the type of mission where I have to make it to certain objective points to do something, to activate something, to claim something, to recon something. Get up there fast, get in, do what you got to do, get out. It could be to put a little pressure on my opponent, run up the side of the map, hang out hidden somewhere, and wait. See if they pull off a couple of units. Now, this is earning battle value, because just a sidebar, you're going to say, Fritz, you take that Locust, you run it up the flank of the side of the hex map, you hide behind the buildings. You're not earning battle value because you're not out there zapping stuff or moving. Possibly. But the battle value of my Locust, if it's sitting there in my opponent's deployment zone, ready to just sneak up and get rear armor and cause all sorts of problems, if you pull off or my opponent pulls off two mechs to engage. One mech, I'll run away. Two, maybe you catch me. Or pulls off a platoon of tanks. You're pulling off more battle value than my one bug mech, my Locust or Stinger or Wasp, sitting there. So my battle value is earning because the battle value you pulled off is not committed to the mission right now. You're busy chasing me down, so maybe I run back. A Recon mech also might just work behind the deployment zone and see what it can do. Now, let's talk about opportunity. Because if something happens and there's opportunity, it's hard to do with a light Recon mech. But a dedicated heavy like the Cicada, and there's others in that classification category, and I'm going to turn it over to my fellow mech warriors and mech commanders in a moment for other dedicated heavier Recon mechs. Let's say I work up the flank and I make it in the back, and you've got some light LRM carriers with minimal bodyguards back there. That's I'm going to engage those. I'm going to try and zap those, or at the very least, I'm going to try and force them to move around so that indirect is going to be much more difficult to do. Let's say you've got some backfield support units, right? You've got some thumpers, you've got some artillery, you've got stuff that the extreme range of it and parked on the back, castled up is what protects it. I get a light mech back there. I might do some damage, but I don't have the staying power. So I zap one or two and I run out of there. I get a heavy Recon mech. I recon that place. I get back there. Cicada's got some bite. No, it's not a Warhammer. No, it's not a super heavy mech. It's not a Marauder. But it's got the speed. It's got the two medium lasers. It's got the small laser. It can mix it up a little bit. And then being a Recon mech, when you commit more battle value to drive me out, I get the heck out of there. So sometimes what we see, going back to the first framework of this idea of reviewing mechs and then putting them into these roles, the roles are sliding scale. So you would have a Recon type mech, but what would a heavier Recon mech look like? What does it buy me tactically? How does it work? And if I take that even more of an extreme in the weight class, again, going to the Charger, which I regularly play, have a lot of fun. It's a novel mech. It's for the lulls. It's just kind of fun. For a heavy Recon mech and the battle value possibility, I think it's better taking others for that role. Now, turning it over to my fellow Battletech enthusiasts, mech commanders, mech warriors, heavier, dedicated Recon mechs. What do they look like, and what should we be considering for that Tactica role?